It's World Wednesday, and today we're getting a look inside the new January issue of World Magazine and a special feature about a fountain of youth pill discovered here in Pittsburgh. World Editor-in-Chief Christine Thompson is here along with UPMC cardiologist Dr. Bryan Donohue, the Chief of Cardiology at UPMC Shadyside, here to tell us more about the pill. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So how did you hear about this?
Well, actually, some of my friends and neighbors started taking it and started talking about Dr. Donohue and all of the background. So we looked into it because Jack and I want to live long.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
We want to live a long, good, healthy life, you know, raise those children. And so we started looking into it, and we were so impressed and blown away that we did a feature on it, and I'm still taking it, and Dr. Donohue is wonderful.
All right, so it's called resveratrol is the main name. Tell us a little bit about what it is and what it does.
Well, Christine, resveratrol is a product that has been described in medical circles for thousands of years. It was actually originally first described in the Vedas, 1,200 years before the birth of Jesus. And it's interesting that it was described in the Vedas as a cardiotonic, which is the one area that intrigues me about this product. So it turns out that the old biologists at Cornell in the 1930s made a very intriguing observation, which is that during times of famine, animals don't age. So people started looking into that over the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and it turned out that it was true, like Shakespeare's sweetness of adversity. So a young man came out of the outback of Australia, went up to initially MIT and then Harvard, and kind of pulled the blankets down on this whole emerging biology, asking how could it be that this lean body mass diet is really an advantage, and identified the molecular basis for which that happens. Turns out that through this lean body mass diet, a gene domain is upregulated, and it's kind of like watering the root, the whole plant then grows. He pointed out in his early work now 3 years ago that this product, this resveratrol, also, like the lean body mass diet, upregulates that gene domain, and that's where all this cascade of goodness comes from.
So tell me what kind of benefits people are seeing or your research is showing in animals.
Great skin. Well, right? My skin has improved. Bryan, Dr. Donohue says that's not necessarily.
All the girls from Washington, PA, love to talk about their skin, okay? But it is true that there's a range of benefits. And one of the interesting things about this, Christine, is to learn from the patients. I've had a rather rich experience in starting patients on this product. And so the first thing that people say, which is almost across the board, is that somehow their sails get full of wind and they have this kind of energy and verve, which is a very new experience. And so for those of us looking down the barrel of middle age, to have that little smell of youth again is a clear advantage. It's kind of like becoming prosperous. So what do you do with your wealth? In that sense, people are able to do the general kinds of things that you talk about in this show a great deal. Once they start feeling better, they're more active, they're more dynamic. Their interest in food begins to change. If you started off by just asking, when was the last time that you woke up in the morning and the first crackle of thought in your mind was, boy, I feel great today. It's maybe been a while. And so getting some of that back is a huge advantage. So the first thing is energy. People that are a little heavier, people with what you've heard described as the so-called pre-diabetic physiology, they kind of get stuck there. How many of your friends have said to you, gee, I'm so heavy, but I really don't eat all that much, and so forth. So one of the things that happens is that, as Dr. Sinclair and Dr. Bauer pointed out in their early work, is that the production, the way your body makes insulin changes. And it changes in a much more youthful and spree kind of way, so that you become, in a sense, more like the physiology maybe at your 21st year of life. Insulin is everything, as it's turning out. And so this kind of just reminds the body of that more perfect function.
Even maybe possibly with memory as people get older?
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing that you raise. And I'll tell you that the joy of science is that the answers are almost always unexpected. I've seen two very important things that your viewers would probably find interesting. The first is that people at the lower level of cognition, maybe mom and dad, maybe folks who are feeling a little forgetful, my own mother, for example, They begin, I've had quite an experience with this. It's not something that, this is just our early going, and there's no prospective randomized trials yet. But in terms of reporting what we're seeing and what people are telling us, they're present now in a way that maybe they weren't, moms and dads. On the other hand, people in our age range, very interesting people like Christine, who are changing the world with publications and this and that.
Right.
What I've heard from those patients is that they're crisp, they're sharp, they're on their game. And it's very intriguing to me that those, and if you looked at the basic science of this and just asked the question, how could it be? The basic science is jaw-dropping and supports all that.
So it's called resveratrol, but the over-the-counter product is, Vindure?
It's called Vindure,
okay, great.
And it's a very powerful resveratrol supplement.
People can look for this, probably not for exactly everybody. Talk to your doctor about if it's right for you, but Dr. Donohue, very interesting stuff. Christine, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you can read much more about resveratrol in the January issue of World Magazine. You can look for it on newsstands now.